Hello and welcome back to another solo episode with me, Joey, from the Game Club podcast. And today we're going to be talking about a game that we were privileged enough to get a review copy of, and that is Funko Fusion. So the game itself is out on a multitude of platforms. You can get it on Steam, Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox. The game has been out for a little while now, releasing in September 2024. It was developed and published by 1010 Games Limited. Also, I want to say a big thank you to the lovely people at Game.Press who have given us this opportunity once again to play a review copy of the game. Funko Fusion is a third-person action shooter game with puzzle elements, but I don't think the gameplay itself is the draw of Funko Fusion, and I'll come on to that in just a little bit. You all know what a Funko Pop is. If you don't know it by name, you know what it looks like. It's the action figures that you get. They're in absolutely every single store, HMV, Forbidden Planet, Walmart, wherever you go, there are Funko Pops. They are about 3 or 4 inches tall. They have a big square head disproportionate to their body, round black eyes, and no mouths, and they are across a multitude of franchises. And when they announced Funko Fusion as a game, I thought, not really sure that's for me. And then the more I saw it, I saw the kind of IPs that were going to be in the game. So we have Jurassic Park, we've got Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, He-Man, Freddy Fazbear, we've got Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, The Thing, Megan, and all of these in one game. The closer to release that it got really built up my excitement. How are they going to fit all these together? How is the story going to pull all of these unique universes together to deliver something for fans of collectibles rather than the franchise itself? I think that Funko Fusion does a few things really well. They've nailed the Funko Pop design. It would be crazy if they didn't manage to nail the Funko Pop design, as it's a Funko Pop game. But what they've actually done is they've nailed the world that the franchises in the game are from in a Funko Pop style. Funko Fusion itself says select, unlock, and play with 60 plus unique playable characters from more than 20 fan favorite franchises, and that was at launch. Since then, visiting the Steam store, there are 16 separate DLCs, all with extra franchises or building upon the franchises that you already have within the game. So we're looking at 30 plus franchises within the game, and within each of those DLCs, there's between 2 and 4 characters. The game itself, it's really hard to get away from a comparison from a number of games. And I started playing, I've put 9 hours into Funko Fusion. I've played across a few of the worlds, not all of the worlds. So I haven't played Battlestar Galactica universe. That is something that I didn't feel like I knew enough about the franchise to do. But what I have done is I've looked at Jurassic Park, The Thing, Back to the Future, and Hot Fuzz as franchises. I started off in this world, and I didn't get the immediate comparison that everyone seems to go to, and that's the Lego games, and I completely understand why they come to that conclusion. Once again, it's a collectible item. It incorporates different franchises. They're collecting pieces to form something bigger within the world and help you progress and unlock is there from the Lego games. I actually felt a little bit more Spyro the Dragon, and that was within the Jurassic World setting. As I continued through the game, after maybe the hour mark, I remember messaging Tim and Alex and saying, look, you should really try this Funko Fusion game, even if you're not on the episode. I think you really enjoy it. It really harks back to retro gaming. It feels like there's loads of content here. Within this hour, I had done the tutorial level and was in Jurassic World. by the end of 2.5 hours, I'd done Jurassic World, the tutorial level, as well as The Thing, and was working my way into Hot Fuzz. And it was at this point that I thought, this game was really fun for the first hour. And as much as I really wanted to enjoy it, because I really enjoy the franchises that are in it, I don't know how you can make a game about characters that don't speak in a world that isn't in the art style that they're meant to be in. I don't really know who this game is for. And the reason that I say that is, I know Funko Pops are a thing that loads of people collect, a multitude of ages. And if you like Funko Pops, I imagine that you do it because they are some of your favourite franchises, not because you want to play them in a action third-person shooter puzzle game. I didn't feel the need to swap my characters and really explore the character roster. So within each world, so let's use Jurassic World for example, you have a number of characters, and the only differentiating feature between them, apart from the way they look cosmetically, is the weapon that they provide. So one of them will have a very powerful pistol, one of them will have a machine gun, one of them will have a sniper rifle. But I found that the difference between a single shot weapon and a multi-shot weapon, you were always disadvantaging yourself by having a single shot weapon, because there didn't feel like a great deal of differentiation between the damage output. Like I said, I really enjoyed the art style within this game. All of the characters, all of the enemies are Funko style. They have the comically large head. They fit really well within the world. But it's really hard to get into a franchise that you don't already know. Hence why I haven't touched Battlestar Galactica. And the reason that I didn't touch it was because of my experience in The Thing. The way that Funko Fusion works, I should say, there is a story, and I'll come on to that in a second. It very loosely ties these franchises together, and it feels a little bit like an afterthought from people that said, we really love these Funkos, we want to put them in a world. So during the Thing campaign, and I have to say this because Funko didn't say this as a part of their game, I'm going to say some major spoilers for The Thing ahead. You go into the lab in the ice, and the Thing is roaming about and attacking other Funkos, and you have major points within the game that appear within the movie that would be considered huge spoilers. I haven't got to it yet, but I've heard that there's a major scene from the Jordan Peele's film Nope within the game. And even within the Funko Fusion trailer, the section where they display the franchise of Nope, they show an enormous spoiler for the film. So by going into The Thing, and this is where I'll put the spoiler warning, you have the iconic scene where they are trying to defibrillate one of the Funkos on the table, and it turns out that that Funko is actually The Thing, and his arms disappeared straight into the chest cavity, and then the chest bites his arms off. And I just thought, if I'm playing this and going into the Battlestar Galactica universe, for example, which I don't know anything about, I don't think I've ever seen Battlestar Galactica. None of the characters have mouths. There is no dialogue from the characters in this game when you go into the worlds. There's some in the hub world, but not a great deal. So I'd have no idea what's going on. So if you're very familiar with all of the franchises within the hub world, or you're willing to put the homework in for all of the franchises from the hub world, great. All power to you. It doesn't feel to me that Funko Fusion has enough methods of communication and methods of storytelling within a silent game to give meat to these really complex universes within the franchise that they are displaying to you. The story of Funko Fusion is a fairly simple one. There are characters within the Funko Pop universe. I'm not familiar with it myself, but doing some research, I learned that there are characters Funko Freddy and Funko Eddie. They are brothers, I think, and Funko Freddy is the good version, Funko Eddie is the bad version. And to have the power of the Funkos, there is a crown that Funko Freddy wears, the good guy, and Funko Eddie summons the dead Funkos, attacks Funko Freddy, and steals the crown for himself so he can be in charge of all of the Funkos and he can make monsters in all of the franchises and attack you sporadically throughout the gameplay. When I said it's loosely tied to each of the franchises, that's because you have a boss fight with Eddie, who's masquerading as a big boss within the game in each franchise's world. So, for example, Jurassic Park, it is a big T-Rex, a big dinosaur that attacks the player. My problem with this was, and it became very apparent at the end of the Jurassic World one, is all of the boss fights play the same way. There's a period where you fight the boss and you're shooting at them and nothing seems to happen until you take out all the minions, and then you wait for the attack point, you attack it, and then you have to drop the gel, the bubbles, whatever it drops. It's like a purple goo. And when you attack it, this falls off the boss. You have to pick this up and drop it in a pipe. And once that happens and you've reached the amount that you need to reach, Funko Freddy appears and fights on your side. And then it's basically staying out of the way of two behemoths attacking while you also shoot the bad one. It felt like an afterthought, and I said that about the story, and I stick by that about the story. I really wanted to like Funko Fusion. I really wanted to continue the enjoyment that I got from the first hour throughout the entire 9 hours. But by the end of it, I think I didn't complete the game. But by the end of my playthrough, where I decided to stop before Battlestar Galactica, I found that I was frustrated by Funko Fusion more than I was enjoying it. Another thing that, when I say I'm not sure who Funko Fusion is for, to me, this is, using the obvious comparison, a game a la the Lego games. And they are directed at a younger audience. They are perfectly fine to play for adults. I've heard they're very well put together. I've only played a little bit of the Lego Star Wars one, but predominantly the marketing is aimed at kids. Funko Fusion isn't like that. For example, in the Hot Fuzz world, you go through real memorable story beats of the film. So the bit where the reporter gets killed by a falling church spire and it goes through his head and it's a big bloody mess and a fountain of blood, that happens in Funko Fusion. And it happens not like the Lego game where their head pops off and that's it. There's a lot of blood in this game. I don't want to say it's gory because the gore is cartoonized. I wouldn't expect a game that's aimed at a younger audience to display the level of gore that Funko Fusion does. In the bit that I said about the thing where they do the defibrillator, the chest cavity, as it does in the film, bites off the character's forearms, and he's there with two quite cartoony bone stumps on his elbows and plastic looking blood flying around the room. So I feel like this game, and I think it's probably quite inevitable that this game was put together to sell Funko Pops. There are thousands upon thousands of Funko Pops, and I think if you were to enjoy this game, it would be because you enjoyed the Funko Pops that were inside the franchises that you've already owned, or you already are very, very familiar with the franchises that are within the game, and you're thinking, I want to have a fun, different look at that. I just think it missed the mark a little bit for me. And I really wish that they varied up the gameplay from the first hour, maybe hour and a half, to be something that was more enjoyable for a prolonged playing experience. But unfortunately, it felt like a bit of a loop. So whilst I really, really appreciated and enjoyed the very start of the game, this enjoyment very quickly waned to the point where I didn't complete it. That's not to say there's nothing good about it. I think if you want to see some of the environments that are within the Funko Fusion game, I particularly enjoyed the Hot Fuzz one. Having the town from Hot Fuzz recreated in a Funko Fusion style was quite fun. There is a mini game where you have to chase the goose from Hot Fuzz around the town, and it gives you a really good opportunity to see quite a lot of the landmarks within that film. But then seeing the end of the film displayed with Funko Pops, and once again, spoilers for Hot Fuzz, where one of the main antagonists trips over in a model village, and the model church spire goes through his mouth and out through the bottom of his chin and out of his mouth, killing him, was a little bit jarring. So yeah, I think that's my take on it. I think it just missed the mark a little bit. What I will say is I've seen a lot of other reviews of Funko Fusion, and I'm not going to say where these other places are, because the reason that I'm mentioning them is I feel like some of the criticism of this game is really unwarranted. There is a very big YouTube channel that covers a lot of games that calls this game the worst thing to ever happen to licensed video games, and I feel like it's hugely blown out of proportion. This feels like a bit of a cash grab for Funko Pops. However, licensed video games, historically, I'm not saying they're all bad, aren't brilliant. There are loads of examples that are really good, but I would say, having played things like the Mummy game for the PlayStation 2, having played E.T. for the Atari, which literally crashed the gaming industry, to call Funko Fusion one of the worst things to happen to licensed video games is wholly unfair. So I guess my review is, if you enjoy Funko Pops and you're passionate about your collection, that's great. You might enjoy Funko Fusion. If you're passionate about some of the franchises that you see within the trailer, you will probably enjoy some of Funko Fusion. If, like me, you saw the trailer and you thought, well, that's interesting, I'd like to see how they incorporate that franchise within that game, I'd maybe give it a miss this time. If it goes on sale and it's massively discounted, give it a go. But don't expect to get a full AAA game's worth of playtime out of this for the price that it's currently listed at. Thank you for indulging me again. I am Joey from the Game Club podcast. It's been a pleasure to be able to bring this to you. Once again, thank you to 1010 Games for giving us the review copy, and thank you to Game Press for putting us in touch with 1010. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we will see you for the next one. Bye.